Hi guys, I'm back again live today to work on our whips. Yeah, so the point of this space is to make a creative space for you and for me to work on our long-standing works in progress that have been shoved away and not looked at for a long time. And the idea behind this is that you bring your stuff, whether it's knitting or sewing or painting or drawing or whatever thing that you started that you shoved in a corner and need to deal with. You bring that. I'm just going to chat to you for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to go on to making, and you can make live with me. There's not much to see here. I'm working on an old quilt, one of my oldest works in progress. And it's not that interesting, but it's not about what I'm doing. It's about making a space together. So I felt like I needed some accountability. I'm going to sew at a certain time every day. And so I wanted to make a space for you to join me to do that. So it's about sewing together. I know YouTube isn't a great ideal space for that because it's kind of more visual. People want to just sit and learn. But the truth is, to learn to be creative, you have to do. It's an experiential learning, right? Watching me make something is going to give you a little bit of information because we do need to learn some techniques. It's true. But to really learn it and to know how to do it, you have to do it yourself. So this is about doing, learning by doing yourself and experiencing things yourself. And one of the things I want you to experience is something that I'm trying to experience, which is I'm a starter. I'm a quilt starter, but I'm not necessarily a quilt finisher. And a while ago, I started to feel like I was a little bit of a fraud because I've only actually ever finished two quilts, two big quilts. I've done a lot of tiny little projects and I make a lot of blocks. I have stacks of blocks around here, but I only have two finished quilts. And part of that problem comes because the quilting part is more difficult for me. The thing that I fell in love with quilting is piecing, cutting up bigger bits of fabric into smaller bits and sewing them back together. And when I get to the quilting part, sometimes I get a little bit stumped. But the thing is, it's not really a quilt unless I finish what I started, unless I work through the difficult bits. And part of why they're difficult is because I have to make decisions. Okay. I get to a point where there's a problem with the quilts and I need to make a decision, and that gets quite tricky. Right? Have you ever done that? You have a project and you know you want to work on it, but you look at it and you think, okay, I want to do this, but I have to decide how I'm going to do the quilting, or I have to decide what thread I'm going to use, or I have to decide if this is working, and it just gets to be too much and you put it away. Or maybe you do that in your real life as well with something else. You're working on a project. I need to renovate my house, or I need to, sort out a particular room. I need to get rid of some clutter. Clutter is a big one because it's all about making decisions. You're making decisions about what to do with this stuff. And rather than make the decisions and deal with it, we let it sit and fester. Really, it festers. The same way with these quilts. The fact that they're not finished, that I haven't made those decisions, that has an impact on me. It's festering in the background in my sewing room, and it has an impact on how I create every day. So what I want to do is start to finish these quilts. And I decided to devote 20 minutes every day. I'm going to spend 20 minutes every day working on one quilt. Okay, one work in progress. And at the same time, I have some other newer things on. I've got the big improv piece behind me, which I haven't had much time for lately because I'm also doing the Gypsy Wife Quilt Along on Instagram, which is nearly done. I do have some current piecing stuff that I'm doing, but I've got a lot of quilting stuff. These three quilts, this one especially, was supposed to be a Christmas present for my oldest 2 years ago. And the one for my youngest was actually finished 2 years ago. So that's only the second quilt that I had finished. So I need to finish this one soon. But this one was next up on the list. So I'm working on this one right now. And I'm going to stop talking because I said I would only talk for 5 minutes. And let's get to the making. So today I'm going to probably end up just ripping out and not doing any actual sewing because I went kind of skew with. I tried to do organic lines, which worked fine for the smaller parts of the quilt, but this is all the way from top to bottom. And I went skew with the first day. And now I'm thinking that it's caused all the other lines to be so out of sync that it's going to be difficult to do what I want to do. And I forgot which threads I had used for the other parts. And now I think that the threads I've used aren't the right threads and they're not going to match the rest of the quilting. So that's another danger of letting something sit for too long, trying to match it and do it in the same way, especially as this quilt is so old. My techniques have changed quite a lot. I've learned quite a lot in the last 4 years or 5 years since I started this quilt. So anyway, I'm going to be looking and ripping today for my 20 minutes. So why don't you drop a note in the comments and let me know what you're working on, because I'd love to hear about it. And if you have any questions, put a note in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So let's make. And I won't, I'm going to talk you through the Creative Flow Accelerator exercise that I do, the exercise that I do to drop into Creative Flow. And then I won't talk after that for the 20 minutes until the end to say goodbye. Okay? So if you're standing or sitting, get in a comfortable position and have both feet on the floor, even firmly planted and evenly spaced on the floor. Take a few deep breaths just to settle into the space. And let go of everything that you don't need right now. Everything that doesn't concern you right now. We're going to take a check-in with our body. We're going to start at the top of our head. And check in and look for areas of stress and tightness. If you feel your jaw, just give it a little wiggle and let it relax. And your neck and your shoulders, keep checking in with your body. Go all the way down to your arms, the top of your arms. And your fingers, give those a little wiggle. Your stomach, even your body and your stomach, your chest. If your chest feels a bit tight, sort of relax relax it. And your stomach, I walk around with my stomach clenched all the time, I think. So make sure you take a deep breath in and press your stomach out. Relax it. Move on to your legs, your thighs, and your knees and your calves. Just bringing your attention lightly to each area. Sort of giving a little stretch or a wiggle to relax any tension there. Go down to the bottom of your feet and do the same. Give it a little squeeze to relax the tension. Wiggle out your toes. Now take your attention back to your breath. Don't need to control it particularly. Just notice it as it goes in and out of your nose. And then bring your focus and your attention to the space behind your eyes, between your eyes and behind your eyes and your nose. A few deep breaths. And as you continue with your sewing, keep your focus on your sewing and what you're doing in the moment. And if your thoughts drift away to something else, just notice them and bring them back to your sewing or your project of whatever it is. That's it. Okay, let's sew. Okay, that's our 20 minutes of sewing today. It always goes so quickly. But as you can see, this quilt, my quilt is, as you can maybe see, my quilt is changing so much already. Um, when I started this just about 4 days ago, this was all covered in sort of wavy quilting, and it's all been taken out, and I've added these pink and orange lines all the way down this section of the quilt all the way down, and it's like longer than a king size bed. So I wish I could show you better, but I can't. I It's so big it's hard to even see the whole thing in one go in my studio. So it's hard to really show it to you, but I hope you're making progress as well. I can see there's someone watching. Hey, I can't see who you are, but I hope you enjoyed this time, and I'd love to know what you're working on. So drop me a note in the comments below if there's a way that you think that we can make this space better for you. What I really want to create is a space for creators to come and work together. It'd be ideal if we could all do it like in the local church, village hall, or whatever. But since we can't, it's this is the next best thing that I could think of. But if you have a better idea or ways that I could make it better, let me know. I would say I can't put music on for you because I don't have that much. I don't have 20 minutes of royalty free music. I'd have to play the same little bit over and over and over. And because the YouTube, otherwise YouTube would sort of cut me off, but you can crank up your tunes and that way you can choose what you like, and sort of drown out the sound of me, piddling about in my studio. But anyway, I'm delighted you're here, and I hope this was really helpful for you, this creative space, and I'd love to see what you're working on. So let me know, and I'll see you tomorrow morning.